Okay, so before we get going, just a reminder, before you let a deal die, all right, take on a partner, call one of the brokers, call me, call Mike, call anybody. In preparation for putting this together, I did a little calculations, 82 years of experience in finding creative solutions to difficult problems. So put that to use, even if it's a, due diligence thing. If you think that it could be rescued, even in the due diligence stage, yeah, they have the ability to get out. But if it's a concern that there might be some way to mitigate that concern with the inspection results or something along those lines, there are creative solutions that can be found to every single problem. So let your broker team put our experience to use in doing that on your behalf, okay? And you can pick up some tips and tricks along the way. Okay, so today we are going to talk, this is going to be a little bit informal, we're going to talk about the companion to every CMA. There you go, thank you. The companion to every CMA that you should do, okay? Whether you're doing it for a buyer or a seller, all right? Let's talk philosophy and let's talk big picture first. Your ability to provide educated recommendations based on facts and figures and data is a huge, huge part of your value. Let's face it, if you're not an agent that does an effective CMA or provide recommendations to your client, you're little more than a glorified Uber driver with a super E key, all right? Okay, that's a huge part of your value, all right? And so I make a point in my conversations with a client always is, look, this is a part of the service that I provide to you, is I'm gonna do an analysis, I'm gonna make my recommendations, and the thing that you need to know about me is that the recommendations that I make to you are not going to be based off of subject, I'm not gonna lick my finger, stick it in the wind, see which way it's blowing, and tell you what I think you need to hear. I make my recommendations based off of cold, hard, factual data, all right? CMA is a huge part. Looking at comps is a huge part of that data. But then there's additional information that helps you to synthesize the data that's in the comps into one easy little format that talks a big picture, gives you the bigger picture of what's going on. And that is the absorption analysis report, all right? So this is not one of the pretty reports. It's not an RPR or a cloud CMA report, but it's good information. And you can kind of present it in a way it's like, hey, this is kind of the inside track. I'm going to show you something that is going to be very, very revealing about the home that you're interested in or the home you're trying to sell. This report works equally effectively for both buyers and sellers, okay? And it provides you the data behind your recommendations and supports your argument, okay? So this is what the report looks like. I'm gonna just show you the report. We'll go over the details of it and how to present it and the script for it, and then I'll tell you how to go get it, all right? Or would you like to do it the other way around? It's already on the screen. We're gonna do it this way. All right, so this is the absorption analysis report. So Mr. Seller, I apologize, this is a little bit of an eye chart, but there's some good information in here with a little bit of an explanation. This kind of helps. I'm always doing this after I present the CMA, after we look at the comps, all right? So Mr. Seller, the comps allow us to look at the competition out there, but if you think about it, it's kind of like looking through a pair of binoculars at something that's very close. You're only looking at one thing at a time and trying to synthesize data. This report gives us a much bigger picture, all right? So this is the absorption analysis report. I've pulled this for the last 12 months worth of data. So our business is a little bit cyclical and seasonal. 12 months of data kind of flattens that curve out so that we see the bigger picture, okay? I have pulled this for your area, which you live in area 64. Here's the caveat. FMLS areas are about to go away. Okay? I'm not sure how I feel about that. On the one hand, I like it. On the other hand, it affects this report. So I think they're going to keep them there for this purpose, but if not, there's an easy workaround. All right? And I'll show that to you here in just a minute. So this report is for the area that you live in, which happens to be Area 64. Be honest with you, couldn't tell you the boundaries of Area 64 off the top of my head. Doesn't matter. Know this. You're looking at your neighborhood, and not only are we looking at your neighborhood, we're looking at your price point within that neighborhood, all right? So based off of the comps that I just presented to you, I think we're in this, $100,000 to $150,000 price point, all right? Can I get this any bigger?
I hope so.
Does that help? That's a little bit better.
You gotta zoom in at the bottom.
Yeah, I can do this. Hang on. Zoom. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking at this $100,000 to $150,000, $149,000 price point. All right. So in the last 12 months in your neighborhood, in this price point, there have been 128 sales in this area. Okay. Total average TDOM, that's total days on the market, Mr. Seller, is 26 days. Okay. So if you were to ask me, how long do you think it's going to take to sell my house? I'm going to say probably less than a month. But it all depends on the pricing that we pick. All right. This field, sales price to OLP is original list price. So the ratio of how much a seller had to reduce their sales price in order to get a buyer on the hook. That is 97%. Okay, in a strong, balanced market, that's about right. Okay, so in other words, a seller had to reduce on average 3%. Those 128 sales, on average, they were 3% below the original list price. Okay, there are currently 15 other houses, Mr. Seller. When we go on the market, we're going to be number 16. Okay. What this really boils down to, the most important number on this page is that bottom one, months of inventory. There's 1 month of inventory, okay? So what does 1 month of inventory mean? It's not really a relationship to the speed of the sale or how long it's going to take, although in this case it does happen to correlate because we've already established about 26 days on the market is average. But months of inventory is really, if you're familiar with retail, it's turns. It's the ratio of supply to demand. So the way that is calculated is based on the historic pace of sales. All right. If no additional homes were to go on the market from today on, how long would it take for the 15 homes that are currently on the market to sell off? And if no additional homes were added? And the answer is 1 month. Okay. So what does that mean? 6 months of inventory is considered to be a balanced market. So in other words, there's roughly the same amount of buyers as there are sellers out there in the market, okay? Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. So Mr. Seller, that's great news for you. It is a strong seller's market. That means that there are plenty of buyers out there and there's buyers don't have much inventory to pick from. Okay, does that make sense, Mr. Seller? And he's gonna go, yeah. All right, so what this tells me is this is a great time to be selling your house. We knew that, but here's the objective data that kind of tells us that. All right. Now, if we were having this conversation, and let's just look at this column in the $300,000 to $350,000 price point, and you're talking about 20 months of inventory, that is the exact opposite situation. There is nobody buying in that $300,000 price point in your area. And if they did want to buy, why did that dude do that? There's 17 other homes for them to pick from. All right. So if you were in that category, Mr. Seller, I would probably say, in order to get your home to move, we're going to have to be pretty aggressive in our pricing strategy. But that's not the case for you because you've got 1 month of inventory. Okay?
Okay,
Bring it.
it's got 20 months of inventory and yet only 17 homes. Oh, it's because only 10.
Because only 10 sold in the last year. Got it. So what you're doing is you're extrapolating the historic pace of sales over the last year and moving it forward in time and comparing that to the number of homes that are on the market. Okay? Some pretty valuable data here, don't you think? Okay? So now you're making a recommendation not on speculation, not on conjecture. This is cold, hard data. All right? And if you're working with, I think if you're working with anybody, they're going to value the fact that you're providing objective recommendations to them. But especially if you're working with like an engineer or an IT guy, a type A personality, this is the kind of stuff they just eat up. All right? Helpful information? Okay, let's look at some additional ones. Here's how you can utilize this to your advantage to help support your arguments. Okay? Say for example, you've got a home that is the comps bear it somewhere between, in this case, 290 and 310. All right? Now you can look at this and make a more objective recommendation to them based off of the data in this from a bracketing standpoint. All right, so the comps indicate that you're somewhere between 290 and 310. In that case, let's look at the data here. In the 300, there were 460 homes sold in the last year. Under 300, 802. Okay, so 0 months of inventory for under 300 and 1 month of inventory for 300 and up. Okay, so in that case, one can make an argument it's probably more strategic for you to price right under that 300 price point and expect to get multiple offers in such a high demand scenario, which is going to drive the price well above. Okay, this is an actual, no kidding, this is for a property I did on Summersby Lane in Hiram. It's the one you went on with me. You remember that?
Well, I tried.
But this is an actual property. I got 9 offers on this property. We ended up selling like $30,000 over asking price. And that is a huge indication of why. All right? Okay. So now you've got kind of the layout and the background. And you got ideas of how to use this. All right, let's try one more. All right, so here's one. Now we're going to take it from, so far all of our scenarios have been sellers. Now you're representing a buyer. Buyer looks at this property. It is priced at, let's just say it's priced at $250 at the top end of the highlighted column right there. There is 1 month of inventory. It has been on the market for 3 days, and everything in there is selling for, let me try to get the scale up again. Zoom to. Where did I just find that, y'all?
Didn't it say on the very top of Zoom 2?
It does.
Is that what it says?
Oh, there it is. Thank you. Okay. So the total days on the market in this particular case is 55 days. And guess what? We just showed this thing yesterday. It's been on the market for 3 days. And your buyer wants to put in an offer that's $20,000 under their asking price.
Good luck with that.
Okay? You're in a market with only 1 month of inventory. How can you justify that? Okay. If this house had been on the market, on the other hand, for 75 days and everything else is selling in there for 55 days, guess what? An offer of $20,000 under might just get the job done. But, you know, so when you're talking to a buyer, let me tell you a little bit about the market in this area. So the market in this area is super strong with 78 actives, 845 sales in the last year. Homes are only staying on the market for 55 days. This one's been on the market for 3 days. You know, if you were that seller, would you accept an offer $20,000 under the asking price in a market where everything is selling at 98% of the asking price? You want to put an offer in at 90% of the asking price. Would you accept that if that was you? Probably not. Okay? So there's two examples. You got sellers, how you can use the same report, and buyers, how you can use the exact same report. Okay? Very briefly, let me show you how to get this data. Okay, you're in Matrix. You want to go to your FMLS homepage, reports, and this right below reports is absorption analysis. That brings you to this page, okay? You want to pull this, you have to make a couple of changes. If you're doing detached, it automatically defaults to detached up there. Wow, that's hard to see. Let me try again, folks. The resolution on this is really, really poor, and I apologize for that. Does that help? Okay. Detached, you can do this for attached homes, you can do it for commercial, you can do land, multifamily, residential developed. You can sort this data any way that you choose to. I always default here to 12 months. And my finding is the best way to do this, that report, when it's only in that one little column, is by the area number. So let me just show you. So let's just say area 13 for Fulton County, run report. Boom shakalaka, you got the data, all right? And it's in one simple little column, all right? If they happen to get rid of FMLS areas, you can do this by the school, the high school, whatever, slice it and dice it whatever way you like. Here's the caveat to it. The more valuable, the larger the sample size is, the more valuable the data becomes. Does that make sense? If you do it by a high school and there's only 12 sales in the last year, you don't really have a large enough sample size to make your recommendations viable. Okay. I will tell you there's not a print function on this report, but you can just do Control P in a Windows box or Alt P in a Apple. I'm not sure how that works. You guys might have to advise me on that one. Okay. What is it? Command P? All right. Let's try it again. And I'm going to show you, say for example, if they do happen to get rid of FMLS areas, maybe the next best thing would be to do it by county. Okay, so let's do Cherokee County, just for grands. Run report. Now, Cherokee County, they've got it automatically sorted by areas. Area 111, 112, 113, 114, and 115. Or actually not, just a 114. So it's even more of an eye chart, but the summation of the data is the bottom column. So that gives you a large enough sample size. It just might be a little bit more palatable with just the one set of data using the area, if that makes sense. Okay? What are your questions? Bring it.
There's no way to break it into tighter segments, is there? Like the pricing brackets? Those are defined?
Those are predefined by FMLS, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay? Yes, sir.
I have one that, like on either side of a price I mean, it's, I don't know, would that be safe?
Let's look at the specifics of your situation offline. Okay? All right. That's all I got for y'all. Thank you. Have a great day.